Relied heavily on Tyrese Maxey because he answered the call without Joel Embiid, dropping 31 points and adding 6 dimes. Rookie VJ Edgecombe also came up big. He had a double-double, 19 points and 11 boards for him. Philadelphia took care of Orlando, 109-97. You heard the crowd yelling, "We want Boston," last night. Well, guess what? That is just what you will get. A Celtics team that has won 9 out of their last 11 games. Congratulations. How intriguing now is this series between Philadelphia and Boston?
Much better than it would have been if it was Orlando. So, I mean, from that standpoint, you have a, natural rival. They played a million times. I mean, it's the second best rivalry in the history of the NBA after Sixers, after Lakers and Celtics. It's the next one. They play, Chamberlain, Russell, Bird, Julius. You go on and on and on. I mean, it's a great rivalry. Now, I don't think Philadelphia's going to beat Boston. We don't know where Embiid is. But Philadelphia's got some, listen, they got a good backcourt. George is in and out of these games sometimes, but they still have him. They feel comfortable with the Celtics. Embiid, maybe he plays in the middle of that first round. We'll have to wait and see with his surgery there when he might be available. Although when he is available, you never know with him. He might play 20 minutes, and so that may not mean that much anyway. But as far as the NBA is concerned, Philly-Boston is box office. That series has juice because it's the historical aspect of that series. And one thing on Orlando, before I throw it to Steve, Orlando for years has been in a million lotteries. Suggs, Banchero, Dwight Howard, and they never do anything. Every single year they've had lottery picks for 100 years, and they have never been able to sustain anything. They're liable to lose to Charlotte in a couple days. They make trains for Bane. He has a huge game last night. It's funny about the Magic. They have not been a factor. I know they had the 1 year with Howard getting to the final with Stan, but since they lost Shaq, they've been a mess.
Wait.
I kept on thinking about that last night with the Magic.
Wait, I love you, right? Like you're my favorite person. Paulo Banchero.
Banchero, I said Banchero.
I love my favorite. My favorite is when Doggy just throws a little doggyism in there on some names.
Yeah, but I do that all the time anyway.
Yeah. You can count on Doggy getting the name wrong. You can count on Doggy getting the name wrong. That's just what he does. That's just what he does. It's cool.
A little carefully.
But aren't I right, Steve, about the Magic? Sooner or later, maybe you like to see them win 55 games and be a factor in the Eastern Conference for crying out loud. Mike, how many draft picks do you want?
No question. No question about it. Banchero can play, but they got to be better. They got to be better, and they've been a disappointment for the Boston Celtics to bench their top 7 players last Sunday, and for you to lose to them anyway, knowing that you would be in the position you would have hosted the game in Atlanta.
Stephen A. Smith just said something that every Sixers fan needs to hear. He said, "Philly fans will regret saying we want Boston. You're not beating the Boston Celtics." And then he went further. He predicted the Celtics in 4. A sweep. Let me break down why he's right and why this series might not be as competitive as Philly fans hope. First, let me give you the context. The Sixers beat the Magic 109-97 to advance to the playoffs. Tyrese Maxey dropped 31 points and 6 assists. Rookie VJ Edgecombe had a double-double with 19 points and 11 boards. The crowd was chanting, "We want Boston." And guess what? They got them. Stephen A. acknowledged that this is a great rivalry. He called it the second-best rivalry in the history of the NBA after Lakers Celtics. Chamberlain, Russell, Bird, Dr. J. The history is real. The juice is there. But he was very clear. Philly is not winning this series. Now let me give you the numbers that Stephen A. dropped. This is the 12th straight year the Celtics are in the playoffs. The longest streak in the NBA by about 4 years. This is a Boston Celtics team that parted ways with 4 of its top 8 players. And they still finished as the number 2 seed with Jason Tatum missing 62 games. 62 games. And they still ended up a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Why? Because Jaylen Brown emerged as a league MVP candidate while Tatum was out. That's the Celtics team we are talking about. They ain't worried. Not in the slightest. Steph. ENA said, Tyrese Maxey is going to have to be spectacular. VJ Edgecombe and Paul George are going to have to add some assistance. Because nobody thinks Joel Embiid is going to be available because of the appendectomy. And here's the key. Stephen A. said, they were going to beat Philly with Embiid on the court. So you damn sure know they ain't going to lose to Philly without Embiid on the court. Let me put this in perspective. Embiid might play 20 minutes if he comes back at all. That may not mean that much anyway. The Sixers are formidable and better offensively when Embiid is in the lineup. But if he's not expected to be there, the task is even more daunting. The Celtics have won 15 of their 22 playoff series against the 76ers. That's not a rivalry. That's domination. Now let me shift to what Stephen A. said about the Orlando Magic. He went off. He said, Orlando for years has been in a million lotteries. Suggs, Banchero, Dwight Howard. And they never do anything. Every single year they've had lottery picks for 100 years and they have never been able to sustain anything. He said since they lost Shaq, they made a mess. And he's right. They had the 1 year with Dwight Howard getting to the finals. That's it. They've been a disappointment. They lost to Boston's backups last week. They lost to Philly. And now they have to go to Charlotte to try to make the playoffs. Stephen A. asked, how many draft picks do you want? At some point, you have to win. Steve Young, who was on the show, agreed. He said, Paolo Banchero can play. But they got to be better. And he pointed out that for Boston to bench their top 7 players and for Orlando to lose to them anyway, knowing they would have hosted the play-in game had they won? That's an indictment. That's a problem. Now let me talk about the other big topic on First Take. Stephen A. went nuclear on Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. He said, Kawhi Leonard has milked the Clippers for nearly $300 million and has nothing but 3 playoff series wins to show for it. And none of those have come in the last 5 years. He said that's the legacy of Kawhi Leonard in a Clippers uniform. 5 years of futility. He missed 40% of regular season games and 30% of playoff games. And Stephen A. asked the question that every Clippers fan should be asking. What do you got to lose? Why not start anew? Why not paint a new vision? You can get those results from somebody half the price. You don't need to pay him $41 million a year for this. Steve Young pushed back. He said, what do you want them to do? It's a cap thing. They got to fill the arena. You got to be somewhat active in LA. You don't have a draft pick. But Stephen A. wasn't having it. He said, ain't nobody walking through the turnstiles because of Kawhi Leonard. You ain't rolling through the turnstiles to see him play. Oh my God, I got to go see Kawhi Leonard tonight? No, you're not. You're going to see the Clippers. You're going to see LeBron James. You're going to see Steph Curry. You're going to see Ant-Man. You ain't going to the turnstiles to see Kawhi Leonard. That's the brutal truth. Kawhi is a great player when he's available. But he's not a box office draw. He doesn't move the needle. And the Clippers have nothing to show for 5 years of paying him. Stephen A. is right. It's time to move on. All right, let me wrap this up with some questions for you. Drop your takes in the comments. 1. Do the Celtics sweep the Sixers, or does Philly steal a game or two? 2. If Embiid comes back mid-series, can the Sixers make it competitive? 3. Is Stephen A. right that the Clippers should move on from Kawhi? 4. What is wrong with the Orlando Magic? I'll read the best comments in the next video. Smash like if you think the Celtics sweep. Hit subscribe if you believe the Sixers can make a series. And comment your Celtics Sixers prediction right now. Let's go.